I'm Eric Loy, and welcome to Eric Loy Interviews. On this podcast, we talk with folks from the VTuber community on their channels, their talents, their stories, where they come from, and their plans for the future. We are joined by OctoJinx. Hi.
How's it going?
It's going well. It's going well. Please introduce yourself to everybody.
Well, my name is Don, or OctoJinx, as many people will come to know it. Because as of the recording of this interview, it is one day before my official debut as OctoJinx.
Yep, we're gonna get this on just in time for everybody. We're gonna have the links for people to check out to see what Don's got going on here. It's gonna be great. I know you've been looking forward to this.
I've honestly been really excited, and also I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually a little nervous as well, because I know that there's a lot of things going into the debut, and I'm just very nervous because I want to make sure it goes well. I'm slightly a perfectionist when it comes to my streams. I want to make sure that everything runs smoothly. I don't really like having a lot of mistakes show up on my stream. But yeah. I mean, if something does happen, then I guess I just gotta kind of have to work around that.
I like that. Slightly a perfectionist. That's a good line.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at some of my previous streams, because I did actually stream before. This is my first. It's not going to be my first rodeo. I have streamed before under the name Joker's DC. I did a lot of WWE 2K streams, and a lot of the times I always try and make sure that mistakes don't happen. But whether it being WWE 2K, a lot of mistakes happen.
Oh yeah.
And it was just kind of a running gag at that point. Like, sometimes I would, because I usually streamed on Xbox, and I like to make sure that notifications never pop up. And sometimes when I'm streaming, a notification pops up, and I'm like, shit. But it's become so calm. It was so common during that time. It just kind of became a running gag at that point.
It's Vince getting his nose and everything again. Hey, you want to try chaotic? Try doing the actual play-by-play for an actual wrestling card. In a small town.
That's honestly something I would really love to do. I actually was the when I was doing those shows, because they're virtual wrestling shows that I ran. I actually did end up doing the play-by-play for all those shows. Yeah. Again, they're all available on my channel. So if anybody ever wants to look back at that, you'll always be able to hear me under. I had my own character named Travis Marks. That was my play-by-play commentary character name. Yeah, it was a ton of fun, and a lot of people even said that I had a really good announcer voice.
Oh, so. You do have very good voice for this sort of thing.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
The thing about doing it live, and if folks really wanted to, they could go back, and there's episodes of me doing the play-by-play on YouTube. It was like a television show and stuff, local television show. But it's you talk about things that come up in the middle of things. We did have this one little story. There's a match, supposed to be a casket match, and the fellow, the heel, pulls out the gimmick to throw fire. Now the guys,
oh boy,
the guys wrestling each other were twin brothers. They knew.
Oh, I think I know where this might be going. Yeah, he was supposed to. He hit the wrong twin, didn't he?
No, they were wrestling against each other, and yeah, and the guy pulls out the paper gimmick and everything, and little thing to light on fire. And I'm doing the live play. I told them to not tell me what was going to happen, because I wanted to do I did.
Yeah, some announcers like to have that genuine reaction.
I was the straight up sports guy doing it. So Um, he brings a paper out and it doesn't light. It's too wet. It doesn't
Oh
light. So
no.
they're standing there looking at each other. Finally, he just crumples up the paper and throws it at him. So I have to now try to describe as we're going on because there's no second take on this. Why the Keel just threw a paper wad
Oh my god.
and the person who was the baby face in this was the top guy in the company, and he'd been
Did he actually sell that?
no he was this guy was trained by a fellow named Adrian Street, who was a tremendous wrestler, an international star, and
Okay.
this fellow had been overseas all over the place. He did not sell that. He did look really.
I actually would have been kind of funny if he sold it, to be
He
honest.
was really disgusted though, and his brother got thrown around a little bit before the finish. I had to
Oh
keep
my
from
god.
laughing. It's so dumb. Anyways, there's all sorts of stuff that people want to watch it. But did you? So with that was your first experience streaming. Um, did you use an avatar at that time, or did you just do the play-by-play?
Hmm. So I actually didn't have an avatar at that time. I was actually a pretty much what some VTubers would call a flash tuber.
Mm-hmm.
I've never shied away from showing my face. Like in fact, if people go on my Twitter and they look back, they'll see my face
Mm.
and they'll see my face on some other people's streams.
Mm.
Um, I usually never ran a face cam or a VTuber cam on on my wrestling shows though, because I usually like to have the focus be on the wrestling.
Right,
I
right.
know that there's some people who are VTubers or who are face cam streamers that do that, and to me it's like it's more power to them. I'm not going to judge them for that. That's completely their decision. For me though, I never like to do that because for me I feel like it just kind of takes away from the wrestling and it kind of puts a slight focus on that person.
Very good.
But
Yes.
I'm an announcer. I'm a commentator. I like to put the focus on the actual action,
Yeah.
and
You're
I know
you're dead
that
on with
with
that. You're dead on with that.
yeah, and I know that with wrestling IRL, I guess it's kind of pulling the curtain back a little bit for some people, but I know that in like real wrestling, the commentators would kind of have a bit of a script to go off of.
Hmm.
And it doesn't tell them everything, obviously, but it kind of gives them like a general guideline of stuff.
Right.
In virtual wrestling, depending on if it's like simulated or if you're just playing everything out,
Hmm.
it's difficult because a lot of the times, unless you like pre-tape all the matches, you have no idea how the game is going to go. Like if you just do straight up AI versus AI, which is what I did,
Yeah.
you don't know what's going to happen. The only things that you do know are any segments that you record.
Yep. Yep.
But
Maybe.
like as far as who's going to win and who's going to lose, you have no idea about that. So a
Nope.
lot of the times it's genuine reactions, or sometimes it's just a straight up. Am I allowed to cuss in the
You
interview?
may, yes.
It could be a straight up shit show.
I thought you were going to say clusterfuck, but either way, it works fine.
I mean, it could be that as well. Either
It can be
or, take your
both. It can
pick.
be both. I could imagine trying to do the play-by-play if when like and Jeff Hardy is stuck in the ring.
Oh my god, that there's literally times where the game would even bug out,
Yeah.
and they actually do that. Like they're just in the ring, staring at each other, having the world's longest staring contest, and you're just like, just give it a couple minutes, and like 5 minutes pass by, and it's still the exact same, and you're like, Uh, like,
'Cause we'll be back after this. Hit the commercial
yeah,
break.
pretty, pretty much, yeah.
But what made you decide to switch off and do different things on your streams?
Um. Okay, so you might actually enjoy hearing this a little bit because I know that you said before the interview, like, trying, like, there's got to be some kind of drama.
Oh, I was kidding,
So
but go ahead.
I will also say this as a bit of a warning, as somebody who has been who was in the WWE 2K community for probably around like 6 or 7 years.
Mm.
It was a long time since I was there. I actually think it was like 7 to 8 years. But either way, um, I will say this. Um, when I was in the community later on, I was starting to kind of feel very tuned out
Mm.
because almost every day when I woke up and I check out the community, um, it was extremely toxic.
Mm.
And there was just a lot of drama that would be going on every single day. Um, and it grew to a point where you literally could not go a day without somebody being outed as like a racist, a sexist, or a pedophile,
Yeah.
which I hate to say this was very common.
Mm.
It was very common to have people be outed for that.
Yeah.
And it got to a point where I even had some friends who were getting falsely accused of grooming people, and
Right.
I'm like, I know these people. I have, like, this is straight up not true. I have seen this relationship that they're in right now. There was zero grooming, but it's like, if you're the loudest person in that community, then you're gonna be like, people are gonna side with you.
Mm-hmm.
So it got to a point where people were even getting falsely accused, and I'm like, this is just way too much drama.
Yeah.
I really cannot deal with this anymore, and it was messing with my mental health. So I ended up basically just flat out leaving the community eventually.
So you.
Like, I stopped doing my wrestling show. I handed it over to a close friend of mine
Yeah.
who I trust him with. So the company that I ran is still going on. If people want to check it out, it's Access Wrestling. It's over on a different channel. I don't run it. It's on, I believe it was LGF Network
Okay.
on Twitch. So if people want to check that out, they do Access shows about every 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
So people can check that out if they want to.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm basically completely done with the community because there was just so much drama that went on, and it was messing with my mental health. So
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I basically had to make a decision right there because I'm like, I've been here for a while. I've seen it. I've seen basically everything. Like, do I stay and just help out with my company, or do I just leave and focus on, like, my streaming career?
Well,
And
remember this. Just like every good show, no one is gone or banned forever.
That is true. Yeah, especially when it comes to wrestling. It's very much the same with the virtual wrestling community. Somebody can say that they're retired. You'll probably see them in about a year.
That's right. That's right. So but you
So I
go.
mean,
Go ahead.
so like, I mean, if there's anybody from the COD community, that's what we called it, because a lot of us have created wrestlers, and there's a mode called Create a Wrestler or Create a Superstar now.
Mm-hmm.
And in short, it's just CAW. So it's the CAW community. But either way, like if there's anybody in the community that's somehow listening to this interview and they're wondering if I'm ever gonna come back, I'm gonna say right now, probably not. but I guess like never say never. If there's ever something that comes up that makes me want to come back, but like right now, I'm very happy with with the direction I'm going with my streaming and all that.
And all you've done now is set yourself up to be called out a million times. So congratulations.
I, I mean, if people call me out in the community, like saying like, "Oh, you should come back. You should come back." It's like,
Mhm.
at least you remember me.
But
But it's probably not gonna happen. I'm like, it like I know it's probably a bad example to pull up because he is back, but like I'm probably like CM Punk right now.
mhm.
Just feeling
Yeah.
like it's never gonna happen. It
Yeah.
is never gonna happen.
Yeah, and there you go. Walked in.
Maybe
Oh,
like 7 years from now.
yeah.
But
Whose music is that? Well, you go from there into horror games. Full blast.
so so the thing about that, I have always been a horror fanatic. Like even when I'm not streaming WWE,
Mm-hmm.
most of the time you'll see me streaming a horror game.
Mm.
Back then I like these are actually still on my YouTube channel. I've considered deleting them because they are very old and I don't think the streams went extremely well. Like I don't think they were very well done. There's literally a point in one of the videos where I am literally stuck in the same section for about 20 minutes before I actually find where I'm supposed to go. And it was right in front of my face the entire time. So it was they were really bad playthroughs. But and the other one I just straight up never finished the game.
Yeah.
But either way, but like I played Outlast, Whistleblower, and Emily Wants to Play. Those are the two those are the two videos that are on my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And I have also streamed other games like Slender the Arrival. I think I might have streamed Alien Isolation back then, but I cannot remember that. So it's not like I just started enjoying horror games. I've been a horror fan for almost all my life, except my childhood, which ironically, I was easily scared. I could not watch horror as a child for my life. I would get way too scared. Even things that weren't actually scary, I interpreted it as scary, and I just immediately ran away from the room.
Like Care Bears?
No. Like, have you ever heard of Legends of the Hidden Temple?
Yes, I have.
Like, I loved that show, but when it came to them actually going into the temple and the Mayan temple guards would come out,
Yeah.
that scared the hell out of me as a kid, and I don't know why. But now, when I watch it, it's one of my favorite old school game shows. I loved Legends of the Hidden Temple.
Well,
Not really a fan. Wasn't really a fan of the remake,
yeah.
but the old ones are amazing. I was just like, oh my god, I really wish I actually watched this show more as a kid, and because I actually would have wanted to try and be a part of it.
Oh my gosh. Now,
That would have been amazing.
As far as horror games go, and horror movies for that matter, would you rather be in one and participate in one that has the long con scare, or one that keeps hitting you with jump scares?
Honestly, I would probably want to be in a movie that's like a long con, because in all honesty, I hate jump scares. Not because they scare me,
Mm-hmm.
but because a lot of the times, like in horror movies or video games, they don't know how to do a good jump scare.
Mm.
Like
Yeah.
a lot of the times, I cannot count how many times I would play a game and I'm just like walking down a hallway and it's like, oh, I wonder what's gonna happen, and then someone just pops out of nowhere, and like it would, like obviously it would make me jump because that's kind of the whole point of it, but at the same time I'm like, really, like you make it so predictable.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, whatever. And then you go down another hallway and boom, another jump scare hits you and you're like, are you serious, dude?
Yeah.
Really? Why is there like like um like analog horror, that's one of my favorite genres because they give you so much build up and
Right.
tension, and you're waiting for something to pop out or you're waiting for a jump scare or something like that. It never happens, and it just makes you extremely uncomfortable watching it. And I'm like, that's honestly really cool. I actually like that because you're anticipating stuff and it just never happens. Like it's never giving you that kind of payoff. It's
Yep.
just giving you tension and more tension and more tension and more tension.
Right. Right.
Like obviously there are payoffs, but they delay it so much to the point where it's just very unsettling for you.
Yeah, and to get a lot of the stuff that I think would be best in a horror game would be if you're in a certain quest or certain area and you go through it and the tension builds and you're done and you think that evidently I didn't trigger whatever was supposed to go and do this again. So you go back and do it again and again like, okay, where's that jump scare? And
And it's like, oh yeah, there's none. Like
yeah.
obviously there are good jump scares, like Resident Evil 7,
Mm,
where you're getting that first chase from Jack,
mhm.
and then you go down the hallway, and suddenly he just appears right out of the wall, like he breaks down the wall in front of you.
Yeah.
That's a good, like to me, that's a good jump scare because you're already being chased by him and you're not expecting him to just straight up cut you off from that spot,
Yep. Yep.
and like you're already, like your tension is already high, and then all of a sudden he's just like, hey, surprise.
I'm I'm
It's
home.
really good. Like Resident Evil 7 is probably one of my favorite horror games.
It's like The Shining. Yeah, here's Johnny. The when you're doing these games, the horror games online, is it tough to interact with your chat?
Honestly, it kind of is because I I even mentioned this in my streams. Like there's times where I literally have to apologize, being like, "Hey, I'm sorry that I wasn't talking a whole lot," because I don't know why. Like I know a lot of people say like, "Hey, locked in," but for me, it's just like I just get very very hyper focused into the game. Like I'm so focused. I'm trying to make sure I don't like mess up or anything. So it does get tough to like try and interact with people. Like sometimes I'll stop and I'll check my chat and I like respond to anybody that's talking. Or other times I might check my chat and nobody talked at all. And I'm like, okay, it's fine.
Well,
And I just keep on going.
yeah. Well,
So it is difficult, especially when it's like a survival horror.
right.
Like if it's just kind of like a walking simulator, then it is pretty easy.
Mm,
But at the same time, I also try to make sure that I'm not like looking at my chat and all of a sudden a jump scare appears and I'm like, what the hell was that?
yeah. Or look into chat and find that somebody's telling you about the jump scare that's about to happen.
I hate backseat gamers. I like literally I do not like people spoiling horror games for me.
Well, it's kind of the whole point of the horror, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's like I don't want people helping me during a horror game because I want the scares to happen naturally.
Yeah.
So even when a new horror game comes out, like Zoocosis,
Mm,
that is a game I've been waiting for, and I'm not able to get it just yet. I'm gonna be able to get it by the time I'm planning on streaming it next Tuesday for the Crypt Community's Raid Train.
mm-hmm.
I was planning to play Zoocosis, and the biggest thing is that it like there's a lot of scares for it, and I've been extremely excited about it, and I have not purchased it yet. So literally, I'm just avoiding every possible spoiler for it.
I don't even want
And
to
it
know
is
the
so difficult because I'm like, there's so many people playing it, and there's so many YouTubers or VTubers that I watch that are publishing videos about it. And thank God they are not putting spoilers and thumbnails because I hate that so much. I hate when people put spoilers and thumbnails for games that I'm waiting for. I'm just like, dude, really?
This
But
is
no,
when
like
I
this
find the
one,
thread.
it's like they're just normal thumbnails, and they're like, oh, the monsters get a little crazy at night, or becoming a zookeeper at the nighttime. I'm like, oh, thank you. So I know you're playing Zoocosis. I want to watch it, but I'm gonna have to wait until I play it.
Yeah, that's something. That's almost a horror game in itself.
Man, dodging spoilers is the scariest thing, especially depending on how popular it is. Like I know that there's so much about Infinity War.
Well,
Obviously there was one major spoiler I knew about Infinity War because, if you read the comics, it's kind of obvious that
right.
Thanos wins.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's just
And then people were acting like, "Oh my god, why would people spoil that?" I'm like, have you not seen the comics? That is like the biggest reason for Infinity War.
yeah.
And you kind of need to have that happen for Endgame to happen because Endgame's going to be happening the next year.
Right.
So it's like, why are people getting mad about that? It's
Yeah.
obvious.
Yeah. And besides that, if they didn't do it that way, then everybody would be mad because they didn't follow what happened originally.
Exactly.
It
It's kind of like damned if you do, damned if you don't.
yeah. Yeah. Or in the case of most horror games, just damned anyway all the way through. just just try to make your way out of being damned through the whole game. So when you get this going tomorrow, because this will be up to today as we do this. When you get going tomorrow, what are don't spoil anything, but how what do you how long has it taken you to get to this point as far as being prepared to do this?
Um, as far as like just streaming in general, this has been like a whole 7 to 8 year journey for me.
Mm.
Probably even a bit longer than that, like maybe almost. I can't say 10 years because it hasn't been 10 years. It's almost been, but it's probably been around 8 years since I first started streaming. And as far as just being a VTuber, like actually getting everything prepped for my debut and everything like that,
Yeah.
it's probably been over a month or two.
Hmm.
Um, like when I first got this model, I like first off I loved the model, and this was actually an adopted model. Big thank you to Needy. I'm sure many people will know that name by now on Twitter, and if you haven't, follow her, Needy VT on YouTube on Twitter.
Yep.
She is such a wonderful person. She's incredible. She does a lot of giveaways. She gives back to so many people, and she is the reason I have the OctoJinx model. She's the reason OctoJinx exists right now. Well, technically that's not necessarily true, but she's the reason OctoJinx is actually my character now. Because it was a previous owner's model, and I guess they were giving it away.
Yeah.
And so I ended up adopting the model because I mentioned like, oh my god, this would be so perfect.
Right.
I'm a horror streamer, and this kind of gives me like Cthulhu kind of vibes from it. I know that's not the original intention, but me being a horror fanatic, that's what I saw. And I'm like, I would love this. And they sent me the model, and it came with a whole bunch of stuff. And the creator even said like, hey, the original owner said like, hey, I'll be sure to, like, if you want, I can give you some emotes. So they've been making emotes for me. I've been talking to a few of the people that actually worked on the model. I talked to the original creator because I was tagging the original owner as the creator of the model,
Yeah.
but apparently that wasn't true. I read the credits wrong, and the actual artist of the model messaged me saying, "Hey, like, I'm so happy that you're the owner of this model, but you're tagging the wrong person." I'm like, oh, I am so sorry.
Oops.
So I made sure to correct myself on that. And I've been tagging her ever since then.
Yeah.
But as far as the actual debut, I've been very, very nervous about this, but I've also been extremely excited because it's a whole new adventure for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like originally I was just gonna be doing regular horror streams just as myself, just probably without a face cam until I got a face cam.
Right.
But now I don't even have to worry about that. Like, if I wanted to get a webcam, it would just be for helping me track my face for my VTuber model. Because at the moment I got to use my phone, but until I can get a camera.
Yeah. A lot of people do that, so
I mean, yeah, I heard a lot of people saying like it's really, really good. For me, it's like I don't have a stand. I don't have a phone stand, so it's kind of a bit too low for me. Like, it's just below my face, so I would have to kind of like lean my face down
while you're playing the game.
But either way, but either way, it's still something that I'm extremely excited about. I've been trying to figure out exactly everything that I want to do for the debut. I know that one of them is supposed to be a horror tier list.
Right.
I'm not exactly sure everything else I'm going to be doing. I just know that I'm not going to be playing any games. I'm going to be kind of showing off the model, talking about the backstory of it that I made, and obviously doing the horror tier list with whoever's on there.
So what time is it going to be?
4 p.m.
4 p.m.
4 p.m. Eastern time.
Eastern U.S. time. So, folks, you gotta tune in and see what OctoJinx has got going on. This is gonna be I can already hear it.
It's gonna be a fun time.
I mean, we can hear it just as you're discussing it, how much you're ready for this, and also scared to death at the same time.
I mean, it probably wouldn't be a good debut if you weren't nervous. Like, if you didn't have any nerves, it's like, then what do you? I don't know. It's like, I feel like you kind of have to have a little nerves.
You're still human after all that. It's gonna happen.
Yeah, exactly. It's like not everybody's gonna have a perfect debut.
No.
I'm sure some people did end up having the perfect debut, but there's always gonna be guff. There's going to be some mistakes that happen, and there's even stuff like completely out of your control that you can't do that might affect your stream, and that's fine.
Some people might have had the perfect.
Like, God knows that's happened to me in the past.
Yeah, some people might have had a perfect debut, but we hate them.
I wouldn't say I hate them. Jesus, it's a little excessive.
Well, I mean, not hate, but it's like jealousy hate. That's as far as I'm concerned. Hey, congratulations on this coming up. You've worked hard to do it.
Thank you.
It's a great time to get things going here in October, for crying out loud, and really, I think that you've got just a great attitude for it, and obviously, folks are enjoying watching, and I wish you the best to continue. We'll try to tune in tomorrow. I'll be at work, be a little tough, but I'm going to give it a try. And for folks,
that's totally fine.
For folks who want to tune in, we're going to have the links in the description for the interview. Don, so nice to talk to you, and it's great to meet you here, a fellow wrestling announcer.
It's great to see you too. and yeah, I'm a huge wrestling fan, so you might end up hearing me make some wrestling references or talk about wrestling on my streams. By the way, so if you don't like wrestling, then That's fine.
Yeah, well, what's wrong with
I'm
you?
just giving you that warning.
Don, thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you very much. And if you guys want to see me, I know he said he's gonna put it in the description, but if you want to hear it on the interview, it is OctoJinx VT on all my socials, on Twitter, on YouTube, on Twitch, and on Discord. But especially on Twitch. I'm not sure if I'm going to be doing any YouTube content yet, but on Twitch, that is where you're going to find me, OctoJinx VT. Make sure you have the VT there. But hopefully I will be able to see you all there.
Thank you for listening to Eric Loy Interviews. Join us again next time when we talk to another member of the always interesting VTuber community.